Let's make a Zokin, a super easy DIY kitchen towel. I'll show you how in this step-by-step guide. You can practice your Sashiko. You can upcycle these some old cloths. You can do this with your kids. It's super easy. Traditionally, Japanese use old fabric up. This is a really old tea towel. So what I can do with this, in the Japanese tradition of Zokin, is cut it up and make it into a cleaning towel. So I'm just going to cut the size that I want. I'm going to make this into two, so I'm going to cut it in half. I'm just cutting the edges off it. So when I'm done, these will be good for just cleaning the floor and dusting with. It is pretty stained, but a couple of tiny holes in it, but for what I'm going to use it, it's going to be a good use of this cloth. One of these towels would be a really unique gift for a teacher at Christmas or a grandparent. So I've cut this into the size that I want. This is new fabric. Folded it in half, right sides together, and now I'm just going to sew it around the edges, and I'm going to leave a gap about this much for turning it through. This is where I'm leaving my opening. I'm going to trim the corners so there isn't a lot of bulk there when I turn it. And now I'm going to turn it through to the right side. If you're doing this with one of your kids, you could let them hand sew around the edge, or you could just put it on the machine and sew it for them. So you want to turn this all through, and then I just run the iron over it to press it and make it a good square. Your cloth is made. Now you're going to do the decoration part, and I think this is the part that children will enjoy. First of all, we're going to do a Sashiko row around the edge. Now, of course, your kids can do this because it's basically just a running stitch, so you can show them, if they've not sewn, how to go in and out with the needle in pretty even stitches. Once the outside row is done, then in the middle they can decorate it anywhere they want to, or if you're making it yourself, you can too. So you can use a ruler and just draw straight lines any direction you want to, as few or as many as you want. You could take some kind of a little pattern and put it on there, draw on it and let them decorate and let them sew on the lines there. You could give them a heat erasable pen, which is what I'm going to mark this with anyway, and let them draw any design on there that they want to. They need to keep it fairly simple so it's not too much sewing for them, because it's going to be maybe a Christmas gift. Maybe they just want to draw a simple Christmas tree, or a Christmas stocking would be a good pattern. Anything they want to. So I'm just going to go around the edge here, just going to do your normal Sashiko. I'm going to just put my thread inside on this particular project because it will show from both sides, so you don't want it not to show. So I'm just pulling that thread in between my fabric, and so I'm going actually in the wrong direction, and I'm just going to sew 2 or 3 stitches. Just going to give that little tug to pull it inside, and then I'm going to sew back over the stitches that I've just done. So I'm going to put it in on this side as though it was a regular stitch, but I'm not going through the bottom. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to bring it out on the underneath at that stitch. put it up that stitch, come back to the front, and now I'm just going to sew over my stitches that are already there, and that'll just fasten in the beginning of the thread. For this project, even though really I do always use Sashiko thread for things like this, if you really wanted to, you could just use embroidery silk. In this case, it really is not going to be important. So you can show your kids how to do this stitch. It is just a running stitch. It'll be pretty quick for them. Push it through with your thimble and pull it out. And then always do your tension sew, and show your kids that too if you're doing it with them, so they don't get a puckered edge. Let them do it, let them decorate the inside with whatever pattern they've drawn and they want to do, and they will be happy to give something that they've made for themselves. They'll be proud of their work, and that's a great thing for them. And you know, if you're giving it to a teacher, you could give it with a little card saying, this is a Zokin, a Japanese cleaning cloth, made by hand by, and your child's name. I think these are great little things. I did just close my little opening with just a white machine sew line on this particular project. So I'm going to go all the way around the edge and then do the pattern in the middle. And I've got some different threads here. I've got some blue and some red and purple and green, and I'm just going to do my stars in all different colours. So when these are done, because this is new, it can be used actually as a dishcloth on pots and everything. You know, it's small enough to wash and wring out nicely. No. To finish off your thread here, when you're pretty close to the end of your thread, you really kind of repeat the same thing that you did to start. So you're going to go in there as though you were going to do another stitch, but you're not going to go all the way through to the underneath. You're going to thread your needle in between, and bring it out at the last stitch. Go in and come out at your stitch. Just do a couple more stitches as you would normally over your existing stitches. And then go in at the end of this stitch. So just slide it between your fabric, there we go. Bring it out. And I've stayed fairly close to the stitches because this is a dark colour going under a white, so it will show a little bit. And then cut that very close. And when you just give that a little bit of smoothing, really it just hardly shows. So here are my Zokin. Doesn't have to be a fancy pattern. And the recycle out of old tea towel, it turns out to be about 7 by 10. Size doesn't matter, it just depends on what you're cutting. It's got the big stitch Sashiko on. The point is just to hold the layers together. Another one about the same size. Did a little bit of a different pattern on this one. This one's about 10-inch square, and that would be one maybe your child could make for fun for themselves. maybe do a little dusting. And so these are the ones that are made from new stuff and could be given as teacher gifts. This one's about 12 by 12. The decoration can be as little or as much as you want, as long as it's enough to hold the layers together. Just depends how much your child wants to do. And then this one is about the same size. That's it. So I hope you like this and you'll subscribe and maybe have a go at making some Zokin. Thanks for watching.